You might not realize it, but we have a seriously problematic relationship with Google, and seemingly no one realizes the implications of this. It can and has gone horribly wrong for some people, with their lives turned upside down. And today, I'm going to break down how this is, what we can do to mitigate the potential nightmare, and why this is important. Hey guys, I'm Ryan Thomas, and if like me you're an Android user, you might also have Google Drive, Google Docs, Sheets, Gmail, YouTube, Google Photos, Calendar, Passwords and Gemini. You might be a user of all of those services with the one account. Why? Well, because, I already had a Google account and they make it just so easy to connect to other Google services with just one tap. I mean, after all, this stuff is integrated right from the get-go and Google makes it painless to switch between and copy data between the different Google services and apps. In short, it's incredibly convenient. Especially on mobile when you can simply log in with Google to basically everything, have it integrated with your phone. That is also logged into Google as well. My best example of this is that I use Google Docs to write these videos, I then use YouTube to upload them, Gmail to organize, and then AdSense to pay me for my videos. I'm in the Google ecosystem, I'm in deep. And for many others, their lives are locked in with Google. All those old family photos backed up to Google Drive, all of those contacts and phone numbers in Google Contacts. Do you see where I'm going with this? But the problem is that since Google is a company, it can do basically whatever it wants within the law. And ultimately your data and potentially some of your life is going to be locked in with Google and in Google's hands and Google servers. Google Cloud is just your data on someone else's computer, and that someone is Google. And if they want, they can lock you out of your data. And that's no hyperbole. By the way guys, really trying to hit 500,000 subscribers, so if you wouldn't mind hitting that button, it would help us out. Thank you very much. Google has a history of cutting people off, locking people out, sometimes with a valid reason, dodgy photos, incriminating information, breaking terms of service, even the law sometimes, but sometimes they don't have a clear-cut reason, and yet they've still cut people off, disrupting livelihoods, removing data from people that own it. It can be an absolute nightmare scenario, and there have been plenty of cases of this happening in the past. Many such cases have been with things that are just so innocent, but without the context, something that computers and AI still struggle with, the automated systems flag the content, and they shut down absolutely everything without warning. There are lots of photos and videos that people take of their kids, for example. Maybe it's innocently playing in the bath with them. Maybe it's a medical emergency and they need to take a picture to find a cure or a fix for a sensitive problem. And these are the kinds of photos and videos that automatically get uploaded to Google Cloud when they record it on their Google phone or Android phone with automated backup. And Google systems can pick up on what the content is and trigger an automated ban for, nefarious activity basically. But with totally wide of the mark flags, with billions of accounts, there's no way to just manually sort through all of this data as it gets uploaded. So it's up to software to detect and action on it. And the worst part is that if this happens to you, unless you know someone high up in the company, there is basically no way back in. And many people have been locked out and not been able to recover their data whatsoever. Sure, there are lots of Google users, billions, so maybe it's not the easiest customer service job in the world, but at the same time, there's always that worry that you might not ever be able to regain control and access of your accounts, and in a lot of cases, that is the reality. Gmail being probably one of the biggest cases. I mean, how many of you have a Gmail account? Now this was a tricky one because generally you kind of do need to rely on a company or an email service for your email. Technically you don't, you could self-host it, but that's a complete nightmare for any other than the most techie of people. So by default, you need to use sort of a Gmail or Hotmail or something like that. And email these days, well, for the longest time actually, hasn't been simply a way to contact your grandma, it's been your hub for basically every service you use. Banking, mortgage accounts, mobile phone services, government login, almost everything runs through your email. And in the case of Gmail, if Google determines that something you've done, usually decided by a robot, again, by an automated software, goes against terms of service, even if it's not Gmail, even if it's YouTube or Blogger or something else, it can terminate the whole Google account. And so you don't just lose access to your YouTube or to your Blogger, but you lose access to your Gmail as well. The whole tree gets compromised and be completely unreachable with the click of a finger. So what can you do to mitigate this? Well, I don't think you can completely avoid it if you use Google services at all. But I also think that diversifying where your data is and having local copies or backups is absolutely critical to this whole thing. Google Photos and Video is probably the easiest one because one, you can just not upload anything to those services and have your library in a local drive, perhaps an external hard drive or SSD, and then you can store whatever you want on there and not have to pay a monthly subscription, which is a bit of a bonus as well. Ideally, you would have a second copy of this off-site that you would regularly back up. I know it sounds like an absolute headache, but does also losing all of your data sound like a headache? You kind of have to weigh it up. Having your photos not on Google and locally is probably the easiest one to sort out. In fact, downloading your Google data in general is made relatively simple by going to takeout.google.com, where you can select whatever data you want and then what format you want some of that data to be in, and then you can hit export, and then via an email key you can download it. Though you might need a pretty sizable drive if your Google account is particularly old. Then there's not relying on the single point of failure. You could use multiple apps from different makers, you know, the likes of Microsoft Office or even OpenOffice would be better because that's not even online at all. Anything where you're not having to rely on an online server to access anything is basically ideal. A third-party password manager maybe instead of relying on Google Chrome and Google Passwords. And if you really wanted to, you could just not log into your phone, not use Google on there and instead do everything through APKs, but maybe this is a little bit too far because many people won't want to do that. These aren't perfect alternatives. Some you might want to do twice, some you might never want to go through. But the biggest hurdle that this approach creates is friction. It takes away that seamless convenience that using one company, one login for absolutely everything really creates. And that's kind of where Google has us by the nuts, because millions, if not billions by this point, are not willing to give up convenience, even if our data is at risk. This video isn't designed to instruct you to suddenly get off of Google and switch everything away and self-host everything, because that's just not practical. It isn't the reality. It isn't even meant to be a dig at Google, because at the end of the day, Google is providing these services for us. Instead, it's just trying to make you aware that things might not seem as rosy on the surface. You might think, well, that'll never happen to me, and then it just could. These things happen all the time. Whether you action anything with this information I've given you is entirely up to you. Doesn't make a difference what you do in my respect. I do believe though that being informed is crucial, especially when it comes to something that we pour our lives into, even if we don't realise. Our problematic relationship with Google is that we like convenience and the services that they offer enough to trust them with an awful lot of leverage over our lives. And if something goes wrong, be it our fault or not, there are some serious implications that we may have zero actual control over, and that is worrying. Is this video a little bit tinfoil hatty for you guys? Have you realised just how much you rely on one company to handle all of your stuff? And if and when the turd hits the fan, do you have any sort of fail-safes or backups? Researching this stuff really opened my eyes to a lot of concerns. Anyway, whilst you're down there in the comments, be sure to hit like if you enjoyed today's content and subscribe to never miss another upload on this channel. Thank you all so much for watching. I've been Ryan Thomas and I will catch you later. Cheers.